Good morning, Nigeria, and welcome to Daybreak Live Extra on Dominion Television. It's Friday, the 19th of December 2025, and this is your space for focused conversations and stories that matter as the day unfolds. I am Anuluapo Ido.
And I'm Oluwayemi Adelako. Thank you for choosing to start your morning with us. Whether you're watching from home, commuting, or tuned in online, we are glad to have you with us.
Today's edition of Daybreak Live is extra, actually, and it's concise, intentional, but deeper with national conversation centered on policy, people, and progress.
On Daybreak Gist this morning, attention turns to the education sector as the federal government announces the reopening of 47 unity schools across the country.
Oh well, it's a development that brings relief for many families, while also reopening critical conversations around infrastructure, student welfare, and the readiness of public institutions to deliver quality education.
And later on the program, we'll be shifting focus to governance and inclusion.
The big story today will examine breaking barriers, the place of women and youth in Nigeria's political decision-making, a conversation that speaks directly to representation, participation, and the future of Nigeria's democracy with Samson Balogun.
Definitely. To help us unpack this, we are joined by Thama Omolarake Busari Svensson, the convener of Women and Youth in Politics.
So like I would say, this is Daybreak Live Extra on Dominion Television.
That's right. Stay with us as we dive straight into it. Your energy is quite...
It's festive period, my sister.
Definitely.
Everybody should be in that atmosphere. You know, it's gloomy, it's beautiful, but it's still...
but let's not get carried away, even while we do that. You know what I mean? Yeah.
I wouldn't know.
Okay, we'll talk about it after the program. Okay, so what do we have before this morning? The federal government, through the Ministry of Education, announced that the 47 unity schools be opened again. Don't forget that when this happened initially, I think the schools were closed around November 21, through a circular that was released by the Ministry of Education to say that we need to close down the schools, for safety due to the abductions, in Niger State, over 300 students and of course 15 teachers were abducted in Niger State St. Mary's School in Papiri, and of course over 20 were abducted in Kebbi as well, and of course we have other abductions across the country. I think majorly we have the schools, these major schools that were closed, and we have them in northeast and northwest and north central and parts of the south. Don't forget that some of the opposition parties did not really agree with this in the first place, and of course even some many Nigerians will say that, okay, why should you close down schools, because at the end of the day, their lives should continue. But then I want to believe that it was in the interest of the students. And according to the Ministry of Education, they are back now to school. A lot of them are trying to, finish up their December examinations, while some are done, as we have them, in their various schools. So I think it's a good one. Of course, he also mentioned that, they have put in place necessary, operatives to ensure that the students are safe. Because, that one is very important, because we still have about 165 students with, the abductors now, and of course about 15 teachers. We must look for ways to ensure that these people will also come back home, to us. And one more thing is the fact that people do not really understand when we say that unity schools. A lot of persons are asking why, refer to them. I think officially they refer to federal colleges, of education. We have the primary and secondary, and of course this was established. These schools were created after the Civil War from 1967 to 1970 to ensure that unity, we reign in the midst of Nigerians, and of course to ensure tolerance. Because I want to believe, I read something that talks about the fact that these students, they are picked from different regions, so no region would dominate the population of that school. So I think it's a good one, and of course the government should ensure that these students are safe now that they are back in their various schools.
I think I will just start with one of the things you've mentioned.
Yeah.
So this is referred, especially the abduction of the St. Mary's Catholic School in Papiri, in Niger State. It was referred to as the largest kidnapping single kidnapping to date.
Yeah.
Because if you consider the number, it's, I mean, no, not number. If you consider the people that were abducted, it's quite a number to even think of. But, you know, let's just take it also from, I think I like the fact that you brought that context of unity schools and why they were established. You know, some of us, you know, went to such schools because, of course, some of them, they call them community schools because they are supposed to also help community people to have their words in schools and all that. So it's a development, you know. So from then to now, so what happened after the abduction? The federal government came in to say, yeah, this is what we're doing. We are closing schools. I remember one of the days we were on the show, and I remember saying that it's very important that they should not just close schools, but they should tell us when it's likely for the students to resume. Why? Because the students are going to be contending someday somehow in the labor market with other students who did not have a break across the state. So if you are in the northern part, especially maybe in Niger State, for example, and your child is there, the same child that is in the same class, but in another state would have gotten an edge over your child. So how do you pay for that? How do you bring that back to the head of the child? Because if you just a moment out of school can actually disrupt the learning process of a child. If you understand the progression and development of students in schools, you understand there should not be any unwarranted, unprecedented breaks in their learning. We are still talking about the quality of education. Now we're talking about cessation of classes, cessation of schooling for these words. It's not a good thing for them. And again, the psychological impression that it lays in the minds of those kids after they finish from all of those schools and all of this, it creates an impression that Nigeria is not a safe place for me. My education is not important to the government. But now we think the government is doing what is right by, you know, but we want to be sure that the government did not just do this just as a necessity, but they did it as a reason of reason. I'm saying that they must have done a lot of intelligence must have gone into this plan and this decision to say, let's have you back in school. 47, and then it's not as if those places we have been able to apprehend those abductors, because some of them are still at large. Some of them.
We still have the kids.
It's still a long conversation because many of those people are still with them. They still have whole state situation and all of that. But we are not sure. I want to believe the federal government is insistent on getting those people back and not just forgetting for now. And I also want to believe that they did not pay ransom, because we must also get this conversation, because if they paid ransom, it means that they will still, that particular venture, I'm saying the kidnapping venture, the business part of it will still continue. Because if government can pay you, while it says it should not, that anybody should not pay, while it gives a circular or a law that nobody should pay bandits, if the government is now paying bandits, negotiating with bandits, that means banditry will continue, kidnapping will continue. Now, for the students that are not released, we're expecting them, and this is also a call that we're expecting these people. But the ones that are released too, we want them to be safe. I mean, how do you imagine that you were released, now you're gotten back, and then someone tells you to go back to the same school? Imagine the trauma in the atmosphere. Everything that happened will still keep unfolding, except the government. So let me just strike it out that except the government is very sure that intelligence has gone into this particular decision. We don't want what happened before to happen again.
Okay, so the defense of the Ministry of Education now is that they've been able to put necessary, practice in place to ensure that the students are safe. And according to them, they cannot afford to pause, the lives of the students just because some persons were kidnapped. Let me shock you a bit. Recently, the Minister of Education for State, she was on national TV around last month, and then I'm talking about, Professor, Swaiba Ahmad, and she said we want to revamp unity schools. I now saw some comments. Some persons were saying, if you still take your kids to unity schools, then you need to be checked. And I'm like, some persons cannot afford all of the schools that are expensive. So regardless of the fact that people are being kidnapped, students are being kidnapped, people will still send their kids there because that is what they can afford. So I think the federal government should also look at, revamping some of the schools. I mean, their fence, their gate, basic amenities, and of course ensure that they are safe. Because I mean, it is good though. We are trying to improve our human capital, because all of the children will grow up to become big persons, in the country in the nearest future. But we must also ensure that they are safe while they are learning. That's why I was a bit in support of the fact that those schools were closed down at that point, because I mean, they need to be safe. Yes, it is when you are alive that you go to school, honestly. But then now that they are back in school, we must ensure that they are safe, honestly. I think, it's a fine place to leave it, except you have something to say.
Not exactly, but we are just, to the authorities that are concerned, we are saying please and please help us in this situation. And again, maybe we need a bit of rehabilitation for those children that were released, because sitting in class again might be a big deal for them. If you have to consider yourself in that shoes, and then you have to come to the same school, the same class, the same place where you were taken away, it might be a big deal for this world. So we need a lot of intelligence to go into all of this planning. We need counselors to do their job, to do, just deploy counselors to those places. Let them have conversations with these kids. Let them help them get back to their
and
normal
the parents
shape.
should, I think they have a role to play.
Definitely.
You speak to them, from time to time. Let them know that they are safe, they are good, and of course they don't need to think about all of it. It will take time for them to, move away from all of those things. Okay, it's a fun place to
absolutely. We
shoot
must see what the weather is saying right now.
All right.
Importantly.
Okay, let's start with Abeokuta this morning. Weather feels like 24 degrees Celsius in Abeokuta, and later this morning is expected to rise to 29 degrees Celsius, mostly sunny around 3%, and in the afternoon 34 degrees Celsius, partly cloudy around 0%. In the evening 27 degrees Celsius, clear around 5%, and overnight 25 degrees Celsius, partly cloudy around 8%. That's what we have for Abeokuta this morning.
And from Abeokuta, we just straight to Ibadan, where we are currently. But the northeast or your state is where we'll be picking from, and the weather is partly cloudy at 23 degrees Celsius across board, and later in the morning it rises by 6 degrees Celsius to 29 degrees Celsius, expected to be mostly sunny across the morning period of Ibadan northeast today. And afternoon it rises much further to 35 degrees Celsius, moving 6 notches ahead it becomes mostly sunny, also expected to be in the afternoon, and later it drops to 27 degrees Celsius. The weather is expected to be clear in the evening, and it drops much further by 3 degrees Celsius to 24 overnight, and it's expected also to be clear in Ibadan, your state, Nigeria.
Okay, let's cross over to Ekiti this morning. It is southwest. Weather this morning feels like 21 degrees Celsius, and later is expected to rise to 28 degrees Celsius, sunny around 1%. In the afternoon 33 degrees Celsius, sunny around 0%, and in the evening 25 degrees Celsius, clear around 4%. Overnight we have 21 degrees Celsius, partly cloudy around 9%. That's what we have for Ekiti southwest this morning.
Just 3 degrees Celsius difference in Ilorin from Ekiti today. The weather is currently partly cloudy at 24 degrees Celsius across board, and later in the morning it rises by 5 degrees Celsius and is expected to be sunny at 29 degrees Celsius. And afternoon 36 degrees Celsius is what it moves right to, and that's mostly sunny as well. Then it drops in the evening to 29 degrees Celsius, expected to be clear. It drops much further by 5 degrees Celsius overnight to 24 degrees Celsius. Weather is expected to be clear in Ilorin International Airport, Kwara State today.
Okay, and from there, let's cross over to Lagos State this morning. Weather this morning feels like 30 degrees Celsius, and later is expected to drop to 29 degrees Celsius, mostly sunny around 6%. In the afternoon, 31 degrees Celsius, sunny around 3%. In the evening, it drops further to 28 degrees Celsius, clear around 5%. And overnight, it drops again to 27 degrees Celsius, partly cloudy around 9%. That's what we have for Lagos this morning.
And still in the southwest state, Oshogbo, Osun State is where we land. And in Oshogbo, Osun State, the weather is expected to be mostly cloudy across both at 23 degrees Celsius. And later in the morning, it rises to 29 degrees Celsius, expected to be sunny. And it's almost like the same thing for every southwest state today. But of course, afternoon, it rises much further to 35 degrees Celsius, moving 6 notches ahead. Then it's expected to be mostly sunny. And mostly clear is what the weather will be in the evening at 27 degrees Celsius. Then it drops much further by 4 degrees Celsius overnight to 23 degrees Celsius, expected to be partly cloudy today in Oshogbo, Osun State.
All right, let's cross over to Suleja this morning. Weather feels like 22 degrees Celsius, and later this morning is expected to rise to 31 degrees Celsius, sunny around 0%. In the afternoon, 35 degrees Celsius, sunny around 0%. In the evening, it drops to 26 degrees Celsius, clear around 0%. And overnight, it drops further to 23 degrees Celsius, clear around 0% as well. That's what we have for Suleja this morning.
The weather stays the same in Abuja, the Federal Capital Territory, today at 22 degrees Celsius, expected to be fair across board. Then it rises to 31 degrees Celsius, expected to be sunny in the morning, and later in the afternoon it rises by 4 degrees Celsius to 35 degrees Celsius, also expected to be mostly sunny in FCT today. And of course in the evening it drops to 26 degrees Celsius. The weather is also expected to be clear, and it gets clearer also at 23 degrees Celsius overnight in Abuja, the Federal Capital Territory today.
Okay, I think that's how far we can go on this particular segment. Thank you for staying with us this morning. We need to take a short break, and when we come back, we move on to Big Story. Do not forget to follow us across our social media platforms: Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube at Dominion Broadcast and X at Dominion Cars. Please stay with us. We'll be right back.
Live from the heart of the action. Welcome to the nerve center of Next Level Broadcasting.
This is the OB van, where the studio meets the street.
Equipped with cutting-edge cameras, crystal clear audio, real-time switching, and broadcast control, we don't just capture moments, we deliver the experience live.
Anywhere, anytime, from stadiums to red carpets, breaking news to buzzing festivals, weddings, birthdays, and all sorts of ceremonies. We bring the world to your screen in real time.
It's not just a van, it's a complete mobile production house, a command center, a broadcast beast.
This is more than a broadcast. This is the OB van difference. Live, loud, limitless.
Ready to go live? Like never before. Book the OB van today and take your event to the world. One powerful broadcast at a time.
To book, call 0705 506 1061 or 0916 101 1061. Email marketing@dominion.org.ng or visit our socials on Instagram at Dominion Broadcast.
Dominion Broadcast, your channel of choice.
Need a professional space to bring your vision to life? Dominion Television Studios offers state-of-the-art facilities perfect for your next broadcast, commercial, corporate video, or live event. With flexible rental options, cutting-edge equipment, and a supportive team, we provide the perfect environment for high-quality productions. Unleash your creativity. For bookings, email us at marketing@dominion.org.ng. Call us on 0705 506 1061 or 0916 101 1061. Check us out on Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, and TikTok at Dominion Broadcast and on X at Dominion Cast. Book your space today. Dominion Television, your channel of choice. Need a professional space to bring your vision to life? Dominion Television Studios offers state-of-the-art facilities perfect for your next broadcast, commercial, corporate video, or live event. With flexible rental options, cutting-edge equipment, and a supportive team, we provide the perfect environment for high-quality productions. Unleash your creativity. For bookings, email us at marketing@dominion.org.ng. Call us on 0705 506 1061 or 0916 101 1061. Check us out on Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, and TikTok at Dominion Broadcast and on X at Dominion Cast. Book your space today. Dominion Television, your channel of choice.
Good morning and welcome to The Big Story. Today we focus on a conversation that goes beyond politics, as usual, and speaks directly to inclusion, representation, and the future of Nigeria's democracy. Breaking barriers, the place of women and youth in Nigeria's political decision-making. Women and young people form the backbone of Nigeria's population, yet their presence in key political spaces remains minimal. Why does this gap persist, and what must change to ensure a more balanced and representative governance system? These are the questions we'll be examining this morning. Joining us is a passionate advocate for inclusion and political participation, Farmer Omolara K. Busari Srenson, convener of the Women and Youth in Politics. She brings practical insight, data-driven advocacy, and grassroots experience to the crucial discussion. This is The Big Story, and Samson Balogun is my name. Nigeria is Africa's most populous nation, with women accounting for almost 50% of the population, and young people making up over 60%, with a median age of about 18 years. Yet, when it comes to political decision-making, these numbers are not reflected. Currently, women occupy less than 5% of seats in Nigeria's National Assembly, placing the country among the lowest globally in female political representation. In the 10th National Assembly, women hold only a handful of seats out of 469. At the state level, the picture is not much better, with many state assemblies having either one or no female legislators at all. For young people, despite the passage of the Not Too Young to Run Act, representation remains largely symbolic. Youths under the age of 35 hold less than 5% of the elective positions nationwide. Many are active during campaigns and as mobilizers, volunteers, and sometimes voters, but barely make it into spaces where laws are debated and policies are shaped. These gaps are driven by multi-barriers, right? Cultural norms, economic constraints, political violence, lack of party support, and limited access to political structure. Breaking these barriers is not just about fairness. It is about strengthening our democracy, improving governance, outcomes, and ensuring that leadership reflects the realities of the people it serves. To unpack these realities and explore pathways forward, we are joined by Farmer Omolara K. Busari Srenson, and she is the convener of Youth in Politics, who has consistently championed inclusion, capacity building, structural reforms for women and young people in Nigeria's political landscape. Good to have you in the studio.
Good morning. How are you today, Samson?
I'm fine.
I must make a correction there.
Okay.
It's women and youth in active
politics.
We are all participating in politics one way or the other, but in active politics.
Wow, interesting. Well, there's a lot to unpack on this show this morning, and we are going to make sure we touch as many talking points as possible. Right. But then, before we go forward, who is Omolara K. Busari?
Well, Omolara Srenson is I'm a farmer.
Wow.
All I've done my adult life is agriculture. I say everywhere I go that everything I am or you see on me is agricultural wealth. So that's who I am, and it is in the process of me trying to climb the ladder to the topmost in agriculture that I got to realize how important it is for we Nigerian women and youth not just to participate every 4 years in electoral processes, but to be involved in active politics. So I'm a farmer. I do commodity export. I process OK rice. I do everything agriculture, and I am the national coordinator for women and youth in agriculture.
Okay.
So that is who I am. I'm a mother, and yeah, I am a politician.
Well, women and youth in agriculture
Yeah.
definitely points to a direction where we can discover how you got into women and youth in active politics.
Okay, so just a very short story. When I got appointed as the SA for Women and Youth in Agricultural Innovation to my boss, the Honorable Minister of State for Agriculture, and I had, my first experience in working directly with government. Everything that we complain about in the agricultural sector as a Nigerian that is not in government, this should be done, that should be done, I started seeing why some things are not being done the way they're supposed to be done, and why they're not going to be done anyways, because there is not enough right pegs to put in the right hole. Not wanting to, well, we're talking politics, so I can stand political. One of the most beautiful things that has happened to Nigeria in the past 3 years was Mr. President coming out to say there is food insecurity in Nigeria. Because those of us in the agricultural sector has been hammering on this for years.
For a long time.
For actually over 10 years now. But because the moment Mr. President announced this, you saw that everybody wanted to go into agriculture. That's how it works. That's how the system is. But because the past administrations has been quiet about it, nobody took it seriously. We all were just complaining. So when Mr. President came and he announced this and then appointed someone like my boss, who is an agriculturist, he's a vet doctor, he's he studied agri-economics as well, and then he appointed somebody like me who's been in the agricultural sector for over 2 decades. Then I was then able to see why things in the agricultural sector are not going the way they're supposed to go. And then I started reading and learning and asking questions and actually getting to understand how our system, our constitution works. Okay. And that was where I got the wake-up call. I used to tell my women, we're farmers, we're not politicians. An ignorant stage of my life. Because the truth is, in order for us to actually get Nigeria of our dreams, not only in the agricultural sector, in all walks of life, women and youth has to be actively involved in politics, not at the senatorial level only, or National Assembly or what have you, but at the grassroots level, because it is a system. That is where it all starts from. So you see someone, they're setting up a committee that is going to discuss, for example, what should be the law that we should pass in terms of organic cultivation of our staple foods. And in this committee, there has to be 2-3 slots, has to be a political slot, right? Then you have this slot and you don't have anyone who is a seasoned farmer or agriculturist that belongs to any political party or is active at the grassroots. So the slot will be given to a civil servant or someone who is or not even qualified to be there. So you then see us. That's why I said that was an ignorant stage of my life. Then I go on TVs like this and I say the government is not this, the government is not that. So I look back and I'm like, a lot of people in government would have just been looking at me that, oh my God, she's
What would you have expected us to
so
do?
ignorant of what is actually really going on. So the situation is so deep, and we really have to start talking about it, because if you leave your house on guard, then you have no right complaining about what happens to your house and what you have in your house, because that's what women and youth in Nigeria, myself inclusive, has been doing for decades, by saying that politics is dirty, politics is for illiterates, politics is this and politics is that. And then these people get elected into offices, then we expect them to deliver
dividends of democracy.
Which
okay,
is not
okay.
possible.
Very quickly, before we move deep into what we want to discuss, if youths take about 50% of the population, and women also take almost the same or even
I think
more.
Women 51
point something
and
percent.
then youth, yeah.
Why do we still have older men at the corridor of power?
It's very simple. So the good thing though is part of the good
At
thing
least
that
let me say being dominated, the political space being dominated by older men.
we don't have youth. That's the truth. I mean, I am very active now in Oyo State's politics and my constituency, Egbeda Onara Federal Constituency. And the truth is, we do not have youth. That's the truth. If I sit here and I say to you that we have youth,
That would be a bold claim to say we do not have youth.
okay, so
Because you go out and you see them on the daily basis and say, oh, we have
no,
a good
when
number of
we do
youth
not
out
have
there.
youths that are active.
Okay.
We have youths that are being called upon when there is a need for youths to be called upon. And when I say we don't have youths, I mean we don't have youths like yourself that are active at the grassroots level. The youths that we have at the grassroots level that are active now does not even understand their role in active politics. Their understanding of what their role in active politics is not doing them or me or anyone in Nigeria a favor. So that's why I made that bold statement that we do not have youths in active politics. The youths that we have now needs to be, they have to unlearn and relearn a lot of things to understand that this is what my role is in active politics. These are what I shouldn't even look into in active politics. I use the trainings we do, a very good example of, if they give birth to a son or a child in a palace today, and the child is taken out of the palace to a slum somewhere, that child is going to grow up understanding that I grew up in a slum, I should go out on the street to beg for alms to survive. But the day that child realizes what the potential or his or our own heritage, the child's mentality starts to change. This is exactly the situation of what we have with Nigerian youths now in active politics. So we have two categories of them, and I'm talking about the grassroots now. Okay. We have a handful of youths now that are waking up, maybe just like I got an eye opener, or their father had risen to the top and they see they have been exposed to how government works, and they say they want to come into politics, and then you see them. Those ones don't normally start from grassroots like I am doing. They just come out and they run for offices. Those are not the youths that I'm talking about, and even those ones, they are 0.0% of the youth population that we're talking about. So talking about youths at the grassroots level, we do not have youths, Nigerian youths, at the grassroots level. Okay. That is the truth. The very few youths that we have now at the grassroots level needs a lot of reorientation. That's the word I was looking for. They need to unlearn and relearn a lot of things to understand the power that they possess, that it is beyond coming out during election to stall voting process or to try to sabotage the voting process or to steal a ballot boxes. No, their power is far beyond that. If only they understand it and they are patient enough to go through the process. Because if our youth actually pays attention, 10% of the attention they put on things like what's trending, what's this celebrity doing and all of that, into the electoral act, and they read and understand the power and the influence that they possess. The act of stalling electoral processes, stealing ballot boxes is, I'm trying to get the English word, is an act of alaimokon, an ignorant act. Because if I know that I don't necessarily have to I don't have to get physical with you. I could just take my pen and write a letter and get you detained. You get my point? So the difference is huge, and this is really, really painful. We did a survey, I think about 3 months ago, and we had our guys go on the street of Ibadan, from UI to Bodija to Oje, so we could, and most of the students in UI that actually said, oh yes, I should. First of all, do you know why you should get involved in politics? They're like, yes, they know, but you see that the love and the passion for their country is no longer there, so they care less. The few ones that actually still has the passion and there's a word for it, the national pride to say, yes, I want to be part of the electoral process in my country. They're just like, oh no, if I'm to come into politics, I'll run for Senate. But then do you know the processes that you need to go through for you to before you get there? Do you understand? So these are the issues that we have, and that's why I say all the time that it's a lot of work, it's a lot of reform. We as a people has to be intentional about changing our understanding or our orientation about why every single Nigerian youth and woman that is above the age of 18 should participate actively in politics.
All right. Some have argued that this kind of movement is based on what you would call mere inclusion rather than developmental necessity.
Well, okay. So Tony Baba you see, if our youths are serious, nothing, power, freedom is not given on a platter of gold. And because this is a sector, if I'm allowed to use that word, that has been left untouched for a long time, and then the so-called elderly politicians had also taken advantage of it for their own personal gains and what have you. There has to be a serious, it's a movement, like I call it, and like you said, and there has to be a serious determination within a certain group of people that we want to change things. We want to start word by word, local government by local government, before we can start being taken seriously. Just like it is in the agricultural sector, I discover it's the same way that it is in our electoral act. Nigeria has one of the best electoral acts in the world. The problem is interpretation and implementation. Just like we have a lot of policies in the agricultural sector that if they are being implemented today, if we're not at the same level with Israel, would be getting there. But there is no implementation, and in that's agri sector. Here, politics, there is no interpretation, let alone understanding it. It's a huge, it's a lot of work. National Orientation Agency has a lot to do in this regards as well. There is a lot of misconception out there, especially when it comes to women and youth that are in politics. So the women in politics are useless women, they don't have time for children. I'm not saying there are no challenges. I'm not saying some of these things are not true based on our cultural beliefs and our society and what have you. But if we keep looking at what the challenges are, we're not going to move anywhere. And the truth be told, the sad truth is, if we continue the way we are, there is not going to be any significant change.
I was about to ask you about the challenges. What risks are involved if this exclusion continues unchecked?
Well, we'll be worse than we are now. When I mean worse, like really, really, really worse. I mean, we're on international TV. In the past, we've had very, very unpleasant administrations nationwide, from councillorship to presidential. So you expect whatever we've seen before that we think was not good, you expect a worse of it in the near future. That's what, because it's a pipeline, and it requires training. So who is in the pipeline for your next local government chairman? Who is in the pipeline for your next commissioner for agriculture? Who is in the pipeline? Let's even say that's an appointed seat, right? Let's talk about electoral seat. Who is in the pipeline that is under 40, like other countries, that's for your presidential, as your presidential candidate? None at the grassroots level, they're not known. They come 1 year to election from the US, UK, what have you, and they want to be president of Nigeria. It doesn't really work like that. You have to have been in the pipeline. And when I say pipeline or system, I'm not saying just godfatherism, because everyone say, oh, so they mean, no. That's not what I'm talking about. You have to understand the system. Every country, every home, everywhere, every constitution has a system, how we work, how we function, how you can get there. Then when you get there, you can understand, oh, this is how I got here, and this is how I can make some changes to things that needed to be changed. But we don't have that. Look at the situation that we are right now in Oyo State in terms of gubernatorial candidates and what have you. It is sad for a nation that has youths that are first-class degree holders under the age of 25, a lot of them, PhD holders and what have you. We have all of that, and we're exporting ourselves out to other nations to develop other nations, while our house or our home is going down bit by bit every second.
Okay, very quickly, let me ask you this question, and let's talk about reality, the current reality in Nigeria. How would you assess the current participation of youth and women in politics in Nigeria as of this morning?
It's a failure. We don't have that, which again, I really do appreciate this administration, not because I'm part of this administration. I appreciate this administration for the not too young to run, but the reserved seat bill for women that is being pushed. There has been so many challenges where this cannot work that has been thrown at my table. But as it is with everything, when Nigeria was named Nigeria, there were 1 million challenges in front of them then why Nigeria cannot be Nigeria. How many years after? We're still here anyways. We're not where we should be, but we're still standing. So let this bill be passed first. Either we like it or not, women plays a vital role in building anything. In building anything. Do we come with our challenges? Yes. But we play a vital role in building. I know a lot of men that cannot do a quarter of what I do. That's the truth. It's not because I'm a superhuman. It's because I am wired that way, and you are not wired that way. And just like there are things that men can do as well that I am not wired to do, which is why we both have to learn how to coexist and support each other. I like to use an example. During COVID, all the countries that the prime ministers were women had the lesser death during COVID.
I was about to ask you this question, just about what you just said. Nigeria compared to countries like Rwanda, Senegal, South Africa, what are they doing differently to improve inclusion? And just like you said, what did they do differently at that time?
Well, they had women in a lot of managerial positions. For example, the Minister for Agriculture in Kenya is a woman. It's just the way we're wired. It's like the home. Look at the home when daddy is in charge and when mommy is in charge. When mommy has to travel for a week, what do you have with the children? Okay. Mommy will cook, clean, make sure the car has fuel in it, drop the children in time, still make it to our own office and come back home and still prepare dinner. Leave daddy with 2 kids for 2 hours, or let daddy have a cold. And I had a cold. I was almost not going to come for this program. I'm seated here today. We're wired differently. Everyone has their role. So if a woman is so important, building the home and the society, imagine the system. And if we bring it back home a little bit, look at all the men that has been great.
Before you go ahead, because of our time, well, we are going to open the phone lines and take at least 1 or 2 calls on this show this morning and take a few questions. Okay, the studio line will be displayed on the screen and shortly. Okay, the studio line is 2349165122000. All right, once again 09165122000. That's the studio line to call. We are going to take some phone calls on this show, at least 1 or 2, and then you can go ahead. But then before you go, let me ask you, to what extent do cultural norms and societal expectations still limit women and youth from aspiring for leadership positions? I know of some situations where they will say women don't lead, and also of some places in Nigeria where women it's really difficult for women to actually assume roles of leadership.
Well, a lot. I mean, and it's sad. Again, I'll use my experience. My experience is rooted in agriculture. We still have in Nigeria, sadly, societies where a woman cannot own a land. even though it's her land. She inherited it from her father and married the man. And the man passes on. This is the land she's using to feed her kids, maybe 5 or 6 kids. The brothers of the husband comes and take the land away from her. You see, that's sad. In Nigeria, now you ask, is that legal? No, it's not legal. There is nowhere, which is why I tell my women, there is nowhere in our constitution that says you can't own a land. So if you inherit a land, go to your secretariat, get it registered, get your CFO.
Okay.
This is how much religion and cultural belief still has hold on us as a people. And that's why when I advocate, again in agriculture, which will start in politics as well, we go to traditional rulers and to religious leaders, because these two institutes plays a major role in resetting our mindset as a people. I still have farmers that will say, this insurance is 1,500 for the period of 4 months you are cultivating your corn. Please pay for it. Look at it as the money you have used for Sadaka or something. They say, no, that the GO said I will not experience any loss.
And that's the angle of religion.
And that's the angle of religion. The same way as, in our lineage, a woman cannot take a CEO position in the office. She will no longer respect the husband. Is it that woman you're expecting her to now say that, my husband, I want to collect nomination form. I've been going to ward meetings. I know that if I become the state honorable, I can influence this, I can move this motion, I can move that motion. And the husband will say, oh, you are not even yet...
Okay, very good. I think we have a phone call. We have a caller on the line. Hello.
Hello, good morning.
Yes, good morning. Your name and where you're calling from?
Hello, good morning.
Yes, good morning. Can you hear me?
All right, good morning. This is Folarin from Abuja.
Oh, thank you for calling.
I'd like to say thank you for this important conversation. And I would like to ask 2 questions, actually.
Okay.
And the first is, if women and young people shape Nigeria's future, shouldn't they also have a stronger voice in deciding it?
Okay.
And what practical steps can be taken now to ensure that this inclusion goes beyond conversation?
Okay, all right.
Another thing I want to talk about is Nigeria has a predominantly young population and young people that are very active during elections and civic engagement. However, when it comes to actual political decision making, they are largely absent. Whereas the numerical strength of youth not translated into real political power and representation. Thank you.
All right. She was also talking about what do you intend to do to make sure that this is not just mere conversation?
I'm supporting the reserve seat bill for women to start with.
Okay.
I'm advocating for it. I had attended a couple of meetings at the National Assembly. I work hand in hand, very close with Honorable Kafila Togbara, Tone Okewale of Women Radio. This is just how far we can go. And again, I'm happy. It's a huge progress for this administration, because the bill has never come this far, and we all know how our system is. For the bill to come this far, and for the Speaker of the House to actually be supporting this bill, it means that we had already taken this inclusion for women beyond just conversations in TV rooms. Okay,
the studio line to that once again. Let's take one more phone call before we go. Is 09165 122 000. 09165 122 000. Okay, we have a caller. Hello.
Hello, good morning.
Yes, good morning. Your name and where you're calling from?
This is Emilian Desmond from Olapo Ishola State.
Okay, thank you for joining us on the show this morning. Your question, please.
Hello, kudos to you, and I will actually be enjoying the show so far. But why the guest was speaking the other time, she said there are no youth at the grassroots level.
Okay.
And then the current youth at the grassroots level need reorientation. So I've been thinking, during every electioneering process in Nigeria, the youth are the majority. So why do we have only youth as voters, and then this is not translated into leadership, like the holy votes, and then there's this restriction or there's this friction when it comes to leadership processes? Thank you so much.
All right, he's talking about where there are restrictions when it comes to leadership for youth, but then they are active when it comes to voting, grassroots mobilization, and others.
Yeah, that's why I used the word that we do not have youths, because the youths that we have at the grassroots do not understand their role and their potential in active politics. So their understanding is this is where they belong, what they are using them for now. And when they're done using them for that, they are gone. So we need youths that would be intentional. Young men and women like yourself and myself that will be intentional and are ready to be a part of the process by attending. Identify your word. There is no shortcut to it. You want to become a leader, you want to become a governor tomorrow, a what have you, senator, House of Rep, because things are changing. It's no longer going to be like it used to be that Oga said. It's not going to happen again. Thank goodness for technology. So be active. Attend ward meetings, even if it's once a month or in 3 months. Let them know you at your locality. Participate in the community services. Attend meetings. Actually, these things are simpler than we thought. Once you're known in your ward and you attend your local government meeting, give yourself 6 months. If you're an active person, you know what you're doing, you contribute, you ask questions, you answer questions. Before you know what is happening, you're known.
In the community.
And then your journey starts. And then they say, oh, there is senatorial meeting. Oh, when are we going? Where is the location? Attend your senatorial meeting. From senatorial meeting, attend state meeting.
Okay.
So if you come out a year or two after that and you say, oh, even though you know maybe your chances are not there yet, I also want my name on the ballot. I want to run for governorship. You know, I say, oh, who is how? Oh, my ward one is from our ward. Oh, he's from this senatorial district.
Now they are familiar with the name.
Now they're familiar with the name. They know the face. So, and while you're doing all of this, you're actually building yourself. You're learning a lot. I had learned a lot in the past 1 year in terms of how politics works that I had learned all my life.
Okay, this is a conversation that we'll have to continue some other time. Our time is fast spent on the show this morning, but of course, it's an eye-opening session with you, and we'll have to continue some other time. Thank you for joining us on the show this morning. That's been a wonderful session with you. And as we wrap up the big story today, one thing is clear. Nigeria cannot afford to sideline women and youth if truly it seeks development. And of course, they see development as a necessity. Samson Balogun is my name. Until the next time that we shall be meeting on another edition of The Big Story. I say keep being good out there, keep being safe. Bye for now.
Need a professional space to bring your vision to life? Dominion Television Studios offers state-of-the-art facilities perfect for your next broadcast, commercial, corporate video, or live event. With flexible rental options, cutting-edge equipment, and a supportive team, we provide the perfect environment for high-quality productions. Unleash your creativity. For bookings, email us at marketing@dominion.org.ng. Call us on 0705 506 1061 or 0916 101 1061. Check us out on Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, and TikTok at Dominion Broadcast and on X at DominionCast. Book your space today. Dominion Television, your channel of choice.
Live from the heart of the action. Welcome to the nerve center of Next Level Broadcasting.
This is the OB van, where the studio meets the street.
Equipped with cutting-edge cameras, crystal clear audio, real-time switching, and broadcast control, we don't just capture moments, we deliver the experience live.
All right, welcome back from that enlightening discussion with Samson Balogun, of course, our guest. Honestly, I was able to learn a lot from that because at this point in time, a lot of persons are agitating for more inclusion of women in governance. What do you say?
That's exactly my point. I would say that, it's high time youth started coming to sit at the table and not on the table. Because if you're at the table, you are discussing, you're calling the shots. But if you are on the table, you are the ones they are discussing.
Definitely. I think you're very correct. It's a fine place to leave it this morning.
Absolutely.
I must say I enjoyed this session, honestly. Do well to join us next time that we're going to come your way on this particular channel, Dominion Television, Ibadan. My name is Adelakun Uluwayemi. Please stay safe. This is festive period. Spend wisely and enjoy minimally. Thank you.
And I'll say, find your way to the table, at the table, sit at the table, not on the table, so you can have a voice and speak for the better good of this country. My name is Anulu Akpoidowu. Happy festive period. Enjoy the rest of the festive season.